Let's call the meeting to order, please. And at this time, I'll ask Councilmember Kimber Gardner Smith if she'll have the invocation for us and the pledge of allegiance to the flag.
For those that would like to join us, we're going to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much that we could be here tonight, Father. We ask that you guide our meeting tonight. Help us to make the decisions that are right for our town. I thank you for all the citizens that are here tonight, that they're here to voice their concerns also for the town, Lord. We ask now that you look over us and we lift this all up to you. In your name we pray with thanks. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which is standing one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have any proclamations? Huh? Okay. Beth, this time we get any proclamations?
Yes, sir. We have one. If you can come down.
Okay.
And Rainey. Whereas more than 43 million Americans can't read or write at the most basic level, while 62.7 million lack basic math skills, as well as the credentials and skills necessary to succeed in post-secondary education. And whereas every year, 1 out of every 3 young adults drops out of high school. And whereas adult education programs contribute to solving these challenges by helping Americans move along the continuum in their educational journey to achieve basic skills and get prepared for career in college. And whereas adult education and family literacy programs assist adults who are parents or family members in obtaining the education and skills that are necessary to become full partners in the educational development of their children. And whereas the 52 local adult education providers in South Carolina provide instruction and testing services for residents seeking to attain a high school equivalency credential and support adults in strengthening core literacy, numeracy, and digital skills, learning English as a second language and civics, and preparing for college or to immediately enter a career pathway. And whereas in 2022 to 2023, Dorchester County Adult Education served 428 adult learners, with 94 earning a high school equivalency diploma and 31 obtaining a workplace credential. Now therefore does Ricky Waring, Mayor of the Town of Summerville, along with Town Council, hereby proclaim September 18th through the 22nd, 2023, as Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. Mayor, I'm sorry, I thought there was another piece.
Okay, at this time we'll have approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. Motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion. We approve the minutes of the town council meeting on August 10th, 2023. September, a special town council meeting on August 17th, 2023, and the standing committee meetings on September the 11th, 2023.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your hand and voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. The ayes carry. Okay, this time, we'll open up for public comments.
Dickie Myler.
Mr. Myler,
Mayor, good evening, sir.
good evening to you, sir.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here in front of you fantastic public servants. Mr. Mayor, Town Council, I'm here to talk about item number 7, pending bills, item A, final reading and the removal of piece of property out of the TIF district. Before I start, I'd just like to say something I like to say all the time. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts always be acceptable unto you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Mr. Mayor, Town Council, I've been up here 3 times and I thought 3 times for the charm, apparently not. So I'm here for 4, going for more, talking about something that's very passionate to my heart. I've been knocking on hundreds and hundreds of doors in the last several months, and 5 big things have come up that most residents agree with, regardless of the neighborhood, the economic structure of the neighborhood, and they are this. We want traffic congestion relief. We want safe streets and safe neighborhoods. We only want smart and sensible growth, that the growth will be paying for itself with the infrastructure that is needed to support it. We do not want to lose the small town feel of our town, and we want the truth. I'm hearing that everywhere, and overwhelmingly, I'm hearing this: do not tear the old hospital down. As council knows, every town council, every city council has certain required functions and duties to provide public safety, to have safe roads and adequate transportation, provide utilities and a range of other vital services for the people and the businesses of that area, to be environmentally sensitive and proactive, to provide green space and tree canopies and other quality of life issues and concerns, to help foster an economic culture for the business to grow and be sustained, and to be the mouthpiece of the voice of the residents that you represent. And I cannot remember in my lifetime an issue has caused more angst and concern and upheaval than this piece of property on 500 North Main Street, lovingly called the Old Hospital. And unless you have been an ostrich and buried in the sand, believe me, I'm hearing it loud and clear to slow the train down, to get more public input, make this decision together, and let's do the right thing. Why? Because we only have one shot to get it right. So how do we do this? First, by not taking that parcel out of the TIF. Second, to hit the pause button, to build better consensus, build a wider collaboration, open the doors to more potential stakeholders, and seek input. And third, to seek the right and proper private-public partnership that will endeavor to craft this valuable piece of property, not only as the welcoming gateway into Somerville and the historic district, but also to mirror the energies and desires and goals that we of Somerville all have. In closing, a couple of things. Number one, I know most of you have already made up your mind on decisions that are going to be made tonight, but I would hope that a word that would penetrate your heart is a word that I like to use, which comes from one of my favorite quotes by Sir Walter Scott, and says this: "One crowded hour of glorious life is worth more than an age without a name." And what that means is that there is a time in life where everybody comes to that decision, and it makes all the decision difference in the world. As Robert Frost said, there was a diverge in the wood, and I took the road less traveled by. And it makes all the difference, for a family and for the community. And right now we stand at that crossroads to make the right decision. Also, I understand these decisions are hard. They're difficult. But what I really want to say is, Mr. Mayor and Town Council, is that many decisions are driven by money, but it doesn't always have to be that way. I understand that to do the right thing sometimes means going against the stream. And to take 500 North Main Street out of the TIF is going to require a lot of decision heart that you would have. Why? To give us, the people of this town, the opportunity to do what we think is best. I know you're all public servants who love this town and serve it faithfully. I applaud you for that. But sometimes there's a decision that has to be made that will impact not just us, but those for the future. We have one shot to get this right. So I beg you to take this out of the TIF. And other people will talk behind me who have a lot more meat on the bone than I have. I like to drizzle a little sauce for you, but I want you to know this: we stand together, black, white, young, old, rich, poor. We have a town that is the jewel of the state of South Carolina. It is beautiful, and I know you all love it. I know you do that. I want you to know also, this is not an attack against anybody. This is us. This is we. And I respect you and thank you, and I love you. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Legree Walker Smith,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Legree Walker Smith. Many of you may know me. Most of you know who my father was, and many of you may have heard of my grandfather, Legree Walker III, whose tree is outside of the salon next to Bexley's. I'm a
Glad to have
fifth
you, sir.
generation Somervillian. I have very deep roots in this town. The issue I want to address tonight is the possible removal from the TIF of the old hospital. Please do not do that. That building has tremendous significance to me and us old Somervillians. I was born in that building. And when my father was circuit judge for this circuit, he had his office in that building. Many people here were born in that building, and many people have children who were born in that building. It would be an absolute travesty for this council to remove the entryway into the historic district from the TIF and give permission to the county council to hand it over to developers who could possibly tear it down and put up whatever they see fit. Progress over preservation seems to be the new town motto, because too many times it seems that the mayor and council forget that the pine is sacred and that we are the flower town in the pines, because the pines seem to be expendable when there's a pile of tax money to be had. Your job tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is to keep the old hospital on the TIF and send a message to county council that they need to come back to y'all with a stronger and better plan that preserves the old hospital and repurposes it. Tell the county council that the town says no to more development that will only destroy the quality of life for its residents and destroy its infrastructure and historic buildings. I value the old hospital to my core because it is part of my personal history. Don't take away part of my personal history. How can I say I was born in the old hospital and tell someone where the building is if the building was torn down, and which is what could happen if you take it off the TIF? History needs buildings. Without buildings and landmarks, there's no tangible history. How can you tell how it used to be when there's nothing left to see? Asked the late, great Jimmy Buffett in his song, Prince of Tides. Do we want to destroy all there is to see because we care more about progress? I do not. Many in this room do not. And I hope y'all don't either. We old Somervillians have been screaming and begging for you to listen to us, but many of you have ignored us. Please listen to us, because if you don't, then in November, we will vote for people who will listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jill Weatherford,
Good evening. I'm here to talk about the Garbin Drive annexation and rezoning. Picture this. I'm sitting down to read social media yesterday morning. I read some campaign materials. I read how one of you is supposedly putting families over politics, and one of you is an infrastructure expert, professional engineer, I believe. Then I happened to open up last month's meeting minutes and see that Mr. Jenkins made a motion to approve an annexation and rezoning request on Garbin Drive. This annexation and rezoning puts my family, the family of those that live around the area, and those who travel to Somerville Little League and to Gahagan Park at risk. That's not putting families above politics. Our families like to ride their bikes to Gahagan Park and should be able to do so. The area across Garbin Road is currently under construction with townhomes being built very close to the failing intersection of Garbin and Gahagan. Their ingress egress is within 125 feet of the intersection. This proposed annexation is in District 3, for which Mr. Touchberry is responsible. I went back and looked at committee minutes and realized you both are on planning and development and have both already voted twice to approve this rezoning. Twice. And no one from my neighborhood, we're right across the street, had any idea. This property is currently zoned R1 in Dorchester County, could have at most 6 houses built on it. I look at the misaligned, failing intersection of Garbin and Gahagan, the lack of striping on the road, the sharp curve 300 feet from the intersection, and think, how in the world could a PE, a road guy who is responsible for this district, look at this intersection and approve this rezoning? Adding double or triple the number of additional new townhouses within another 200 feet from the current construction site. This rezoning request is for GR5. This is a townhome builder. They're building across the street. Are you aware GR5 allows townhomes? If you approve this annexation and rezoning, you are adding to the same overdevelopment and no infrastructure problem. If the applicant would like GR2, GR3, it would be hard to grumble against those densities. Those are responsible rezonings. But doubling or tripling the amount of residences right at this intersection is irresponsible and tone deaf. Also, 500 North Main is due for redevelopment, but demolishing the old hospital should not be on the table. I agree. What a fabulous statement it would be to have a downtown Somerville library at the entrance to our historic downtown. Approving the removal from the TIF along with the IGAs from the county tell the voters you are more concerned with revenues than you are preservation. You should have plenty of money to spend after you read the audits, realized the tax increases were not necessary, kept it anyway. That's a transparency issue. So is 500 North Main. I am expecting you to deny this annexation and rezoning or greatly reduce the density, deny removal from the TIF, deny this multi-county industrial park. Good night.
Thanks, Sue.
Diane Frankenberger.
Hey, good evening, you all. I would like to speak about perspective. One time I had a detached retina, and the result of that was I could only use one eye. There's a reason we have two eyes. It is for perspective. I found out that I couldn't even pour any liquid into a glass because I couldn't tell how deep it was. So I want to talk about the perspective of 500 North Main. I took time off from work today to go up there and see what was there on 5 acres. And this is what is there. And the old hospital, by the way, was closed in 1980. So there were 5 benches, 1 trash receptacle, approximately 120 trees, 200 parking spaces, 157 cars, and 1 memorial, which was constructed in 1995 by Fran Josephson. There are 8 different branches of service that are in memory there. And the shrine says, in honor of those who served and in God we trust. I find that the comments made about County Council and Dorchester Council to be offensive to me. These are my elected people, even though I only vote for 1 person on County Council, and I only vote for 1 person on Town Council. I don't like hearing that people are putting money in their pockets or that shame on you or any of that. That there needs to be more discussion about some things. I agree with all of that. In this morning's paper, it's Bank of America. I don't bank there, but it was a great ad, full page ad. And it says, it's all about listening, asking what's important, and offering the right solutions. Calling names, casting aspersions, it's all wrong. And for people to say it's all about the money, you bet it's all about the money. I pay taxes on my building. I'm one little business. I collect $28,000 a year in sales tax. 0.07 on every dollar. I like to pay taxes. We get an awful lot of things for our money. All you have to do is go move overseas. Don't even live in a third world country. Live in another country and see what you get. See how much you're taxed. We need to be grateful here, I think, for what we've got. I'm grateful for what we've got. And I am all about preservation. I restored Mr. and Mrs. Cawthon's old hardware store. I worked hard to restore the downtown area, worked hard to restore the Public Works Art Center. And I believe in preservation, and I do believe in a sense of place. But since 1980, what I described on that property has been like that for 45 years. And now somebody comes up with a plan that, yep, it's going to generate some money. And if you look at where the money is going to go, it's all going to good things. Could something different happen? Sure could. But I'll tell you right now, that hospital, we just got our bill at the Public Works Art Center. I don't know what CPW paid for their water, for their electric bill, $3,000. I can only guess what county council, that service building, pays to Dominion Power. So no name calling. I just want what's best for, I want a sense of place. I want what's best for the town. I want what's best for the county. And I think we can do it in a proper way so that we can all look at it and say, this is perfect. But to cast aspersions on people is not right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Diane.
Stephen Wright,
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to each of you this evening. We live in a beautiful town, a town where people are moving. We're booming because they love our culture. They love our customs. They love our quality of life. But every couple of years, Somerville and Dorchester County enter what I call silly season. Crazy accusations are made because campaigns and people are on the ballot. And I think that's what we witnessed on social media. And that's why I'm speaking this evening out of obligation. The older that I've gotten, I've realized that no one's mind has changed on Facebook. So some of you that have known me for years knew that when I was younger, I'd argue with people on Facebook, argue with some of you, make wild accusations that simply weren't true. But I've learned as I've grown up, and what I've learned is that we do need to collaborate with each other and work with each other. Somerville is growing, as I just stated, and we face a choice as every town faces. We can either choose to embrace the growth that is coming our way that we can't control in a positive way, in a responsible way, or we can simply choose to be a town that says no to everything and wither on the vine. The simple fact of the matter is, whether 500 North Main is or is not in the TIF district does not prevent demolition of the old hospital. It does not prevent future development. But what it does do is it creates an opportunity for this town, in the event there is future development, that this town can receive the financial benefits, better police protection, better core services. How about parks within the town of Somerville? Our county's doing a great job, and I believe our town can continue to do great jobs. So the simple fact of the matter is, as we continue to hear things that are simply untrue, I ask that you all make decisions based on the facts that are before you. And the simple fact is this: the town can choose to financially benefit by possible future development of the old hospital, or they can choose to not do that. The town can choose to continue working collaboratively with our intergovernmental partners, or we can cast aspersions and call them names. I know each of you, and I believe that your reputations are beyond reproach, and I expect tonight that you will make the best decision in the financial interest of this town and of its citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
Russell Peel,
I don't need that timer. I appreciate it. Mr. Touchberry, I emailed you yesterday. I really appreciate you emailing me back. Came to speak out, hoping y'all vote no against the annexation and rezoning of the Garvin property. That intersection is pretty bad. Takes forever to get through. Went there last night about 5:30, watched the car, took 18 minutes for it to get through that stop sign, just a two-way stop sign on that road on Gahagan. So I just don't think it's ready to put however many houses right there. So I just asked you to reconsider it. But I do appreciate you emailing me back in a very timely manner. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Fleming Moore,
I'm glad I'm not on, they booted me off of Positively Somerville because I'm not seeing any of these accusations on Facebook where I venture. Thank you, Mayor Warren, for your service. This is the first time I've ever talked at a town council meeting, and I remember our campaign together, and I have a little memento for that 2019 campaign. And it's a poster. And I'm hoping you will put it on the mayor's desk, because that is as close as I'll ever get to the mayor's.
I will be glad to, I'll be glad to do that, Fleming. I'm glad to have you too.
For the next mayor, so they know that Shady always has their eye on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Egocentric thinking would be that I'd like to one day be a footnote in the history of that race. But tonight I'm here in opposition of what I'm going to call, and Ms. Frankenberger would be disappointed in me, is the Terry Berry motion to approve Dorchester County request to have 500 North Main Street removed from the TIF district. I call it the Terry Berry motion simply as a mnemonic device, because Terry Jenkins introduced it, Russ Touchberry seconded it. There have been a string of Terry Berry motions, starting in May of 2022, when Terry Jenkins made a motion to raise my taxes, and Mr. Touchberry seconded that motion. Now, if you want to get my attention, raise my taxes. Now, proponents of the removal will argue that this is a revenue issue. It has nothing to do with the demolition of the old hospital. That the bar will have the ultimate deciding decision-making whether or not the old hospital is raised. I find this argument to be disingenuous or naive. Approval allows the county to circumvent the current bond limits they have and put the property in fee in lieu for the property to sell bonds and proceed with their plan. And what does their plan call for? The raising of the old hospital. But to put the decision, leaving it up to the bar, that's the classic example of passing the buck. To avoid accountability by hiding behind the bar is cowardice. But the good news is you still have a chance to find the courage to deny Dorchester County their request to approve the removal of the old hospital. If you do that, we'll have an opportunity to see what we have. It would afford Somerville a time to get this right. It's a moral imperative that we get this right. A no vote gives us the opportunity to investigate the economic impact of repurposing the old hospital into a cultural center, or maybe even a satellite to the International African American Museum. Nobody's even studied that. Nobody. They have focus groups. 3,600 of us were here in 1960, 3,800 were here in 1970. I guarantee you not one person that was here in 1970 was included in that focus group. The property's historical significance with its connection to Catherine Kitty Springs and the Black Masons from Brownsville are just now coming into focus. Just now. The last chapter of Miss Springs' story is being written as I speak. Your votes tonight and your names will be immortalized when her story is documented, filmed, and streaming on Netflix. It's too compelling not to be. Mr. Mayor, you know our families go back, and I have love for you, and this is hard for me to say. If you vote yes to allow 500 North Main to be removed from the TIF, your accomplishment of finishing the Berlin G. Meyer Parkway will be obscured by your lack of leadership on this issue. It'll be a stain on your legacy. Your vote tonight could be the difference of being a footnote in history or having a statue erected in your honor. So I'm going to implore you, Mr. Mayor, to call this body into an executive section, apply your leadership skills, and
You're
turn them
done, Franklin.
around.
You're done. You're done. Franklin.
Okay.
Your time, so.
Thank
Good day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bill McIntosh,
Hello, Bill.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Figured I might see you tonight.
I couldn't miss you. Couldn't miss seeing you, Mr. Mayor.
Glad to see you, by the way.
Me too. I'm glad you got to see me.
And don't
I'm
say you don't believe that like you did in Memorial text. I am glad to see you.
I think I still can make it. The night they drove old Somerville down, the people were crying and town council said, nah, 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 nah. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and other distinguished members of town council. We meet again. For the record, I'm Bill McIntosh and I reside at 4103 New Canopy Court in the town of Somerville. I know that most of us, perhaps not young Mr. Touchberry, but perhaps the rest of us are of a vintage that we recognize my reference to a song by the band, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. It's a remarkable song. Perhaps even more remarkable that its writer, Robbie Robertson, who passed away last month, Canadian citizen. Make no mistake, though, that is what two of tonight's votes will amount to if approved by you. Taken together, voting to remove 500 North Main from the Midtown TIF district and voting to give consent to Dorchester County to create a multi-county industrial park at 500 North Main will put town council's seal of approval on the county's plans to drive old Somerville down. Voting yes to these two items will increase exponentially the likelihood that the iconic 1937 County Hospital building at the gateway of our historic downtown business district is demolished and replaced with maximum density 4-story and 5-story buildings. Getting multi-county industrial park status for this 5-acre block is the whole ball game for Dorchester County Council. Multi-county industrial park status will allow them to negotiate a fee in lieu of taxes or FILO agreement with their hand-picked developer. This FILO may well give tax breaks to this developer. That's what they're designed to do, to provide tax breaks. But traditionally, they've been given, as the name suggests, for industrial development as an inducement for major manufacturers to provide manufacturing jobs. Of course, that is not at all what is going to happen here. No manufacturing jobs are coming to 500 North Main. Instead, the only proposal from County Council includes a 5-story apartment building and a 5-story parking garage to be built in the footprint of where the 1937 hospital building now stands. And whether the hand-picked developer gets a tax break or how much of a tax break is almost beside the point. Dorchester County Council's real objective is in negotiating a FILO, as it will allow them to immediately borrow tens of millions of dollars above and beyond their normal bonding capacity. Think about that. All of you represent, all except Mr. Jenkins actually represent mostly, if not exclusively, Dorchester County residents. What County Council is pressuring you to do to vote to clear the way for demolition of one of the most iconic public buildings in our town so they can take your constituents even deeper and deeper in debt. What a deal. It doesn't have to be this way. You do have a choice. You have the funds to finish North Maple with proceeds from the Midtown TIF. And after all, that is what you told your constituents, that finishing North Maple was the reason for the TIF. And you told them that because it was the truth. Finishing North Maple was the reason for the TIF. Dorchester County Council has been driving this train from day one, misleading, manipulating, pressuring, and now holding out $11 million to finish North Maple for you to give them what they want. Is that what you want your legacy be? Do you really want to be the mayor and council who sold out to the people who drove old Somerville down? It doesn't have to be this way. You have a choice. You can stand up for your constituents and stand up to Dorchester County Council. Tonight does not have to be the night they drove old Somerville down. All you have to do is say one word, one syllable. That word, that syllable is no. No to taking 500 North out of the TIF district. No to allowing the county to create a multi-county industrial park there. Thank you. Good night.
Megan Grainer,
Good evening. I'm here to talk about something completely different. I am proposing that we have, well, I guess it's already in the agenda, but to either move the three-way stop sign on West Carolina to be at the intersection of Laurel and West Carolina. That allows for that crosswalk to have sidewalk access to it, or to add a flashing crosswalk at Laurel Street at West Carolina. The children ride their bikes across the street. Us as walkers, adults, kids, that road, West Carolina, is very dangerous to cross. Cars tend to fly between those two three-way stop signs, which isn't right, but that's the perfect distance to like speed up to slam on brakes again. So your votes into doing that would be greatly appreciated, to all those in the downtown area, because I know many that walk from one side to the other of West Carolina, as well as going to Somerville Elementary. Students these days are riding their bikes more, thankfully, as they should be. And that would allow some students to ride their bikes directly to school by themselves. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stuart Courtney,
Mr. Mayor, Council, I was here to support the agreement to put crosswalk signs at Southampton and South Main. And just encourage the town to do that traffic study with the DOT to hopefully get the strobe lights installed too at the same intersection like this across here at the Fountain and right here on Doty by the railroad tracks like that. The school resource officers are out there in the mornings for only 30 minutes and in the afternoon for 30 minutes, but that's not even when school's in session, like people going back and forth to the district office or the games, the town. The money that the town pumped into revitalizing Memorial Stadium, and just that intersection needs more signage. And I know it's not a stopgap, but I hate to see an accident there that would injure a child, much less a school resource officer or just a neighborhood citizen walking for exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Peter Gorman,
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members.
You, sir.
I'd like to speak about the TIF and the hospital block tonight. 13 years ago, I was motivated to move to this town for its small town southern charm. It was not long after that I learned that it survived by accident and neglect, not necessarily by purpose and intent. Once I realized that, I began to organize my East Historic District neighbors to improve our pedestrian safety, only to be told by Mayor Collins our needs were not on his radar. He had other ideas for developing our historic district. It was not long after that he announced his done deal for the boutique hotel. You know the rest of the story. Hayward and I were the earliest plaintiffs against the backroom deals and political ambitions that ignored the public interest in preserving our historic district. It took a lawsuit to kill the monstrosity Bill Collins promised voters, but concealed its details and true costs. That was 7 years ago, and here we are again, faced with another backroom deal, public excluded, to approve an ordinance that will result in the demolition of an important historic district structure. Has this council learned nothing from that experience about the boutique hotel? Aaron, Kimma, Terry, and yes, Bill, I have supported or run campaigns against your reelections. It was because I did not believe you had the best interests of your constituents when you voted for backroom deals. Don't fool yourself this time. Voters are paying attention to your vote tonight, and there is overwhelming support for preserving the hospital. Voters are tired of overdevelopment and traffic congestion. I ask you to oppose this agenda item that will result in demolition of our historic hospital. You are allowing the county to create an industrial park that will give the developer massive tax breaks. That means the rest of us have to pick up the tab for the services that the development will require. You are putting special interests and developers ahead of the voters who elected you. You are selling Somerville for $11 million. Somerville is not for sale. Councilman McIntosh got it right this time, but I'm deeply disappointed in you who have been voting for this agenda item. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for public comments for item on the September 14th agenda.
Ready, all right, if that's all the comments we got, we'll move on into petitions.
First reading of an ordinance to annex TMS number 15200000269, located along the Sawmill Branch Canal behind 118 Sellers Circle and totaling approximately 1.8 acres. Currently zoned TRM in Dorchester County and will be zoned PL Public Lands upon annexation to the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would be in Council District 5. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 21st, 2023. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on September 11th, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion. We give first reading to this ordinance.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? If not, all in favor, signify by raise your right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
For pending bills and resolutions, second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Town of Somerville Midtown Redevelopment Plan in order to remove one parcel from the redevelopment project area and making a specific finding of benefit to the redevelopment project area of a town public safety and general administrative facility. Provide for notice to overlapping taxing jurisdictions in connection with the foregoing. Provide for publication of notice of adoption hereof and other matters related thereto.
Mr. Mayor, I think Stephen Wright explained this well, so I'll say nothing else on it, but I'll make a motion. We have second and final reading of this ordinance.
We've got a motion on the floor. Got a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor, for discussion.
Okay, got a motion, second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. While Mr. Wright did cover a lot of the things, I hope everybody who's here understands how important your voices have been heard. Your voice is important. It has been heard. I've been in communication with county council members and Chairman Friddle, and things have been changing drastically with that development. And I just want you to know that the TIF has nothing to do with that hospital development.
Yeah, I'd like to say too that, Mr. McIntosh, Bill, you made good sense with what you said, but you know yourself that we have nothing to do with the development of that property. We don't have anything to do with the demolition of the hospital. That's got to go before the BAR. I've said this for the last 4 meetings, I know. All we want to do is take it out of the TIF. And that's all the authority we have to do. And I'm all in favor of doing this. And you going into the bonding and whatever the county does and whatever some developer does, we don't have anything to do with, because if that happens, everything they do on that property has to go before the BAR and our planning commission, the planning department, and everything else. I'm not, and I told Hayward this 3 months ago, I'm not as emotionally involved in the demolition of that property as all of some of the people sitting in this room. And all the people that Dickie said he's talked to in his district. I've probably talked to as many people as he has. And they don't have the same feelings that Dickie's people have. You know, it's one of these things that you run into in Somerville. You know, we got a large group of people living in Somerville now. I got a large group of friends, just like all y'all do. They got their feelings one way or another. You know, some people have their feelings for letting the hospital go. Some people want it to stay. But, you know, I gotta make my vote on taking the property out of a TIF, not anything to do with doing away with the building. That has nothing to do with what I'm voting here tonight. I'm voting to remove it from the TIF. Taking away the building has something to do with somebody else later, not this council. No matter what Mr. McIntosh says or anybody else says, we don't have anything to do with that. This body doesn't. So I told y'all at the last meeting and meeting before, you're barking up the wrong tree. If we could just get it out of the TIF, and some of the stuff that Mr. McIntosh said is true, but we're not letting county council have a noose around our neck. We got a good relationship with them. Mr. McIntosh doesn't, but we do. He resigned off council, left his post, decided to run against Mr. Jenkins. I never heard of such a thing. You know, but he's got to live with that. But we're still here, and we gonna make the decision. And I hope that we can make this decision on this final reading to take it out of the TIF, which before we came into this meeting, all of us pretty well agreed on that. Because of what we can do after we take it out of the TIF. Then it's back up to county council or whoever buys the property or whatever they do with it. Me personally, I'm not running for office. If I was, I would still feel the same way. 100%. I was born in that building. You know what I remember about that? Nothing. I was probably 3, 4, 5 years old before I remember where I was at. And it was at 604 Laurel Street. That's what I remember. Now I got a little bit of history at 604 Laurel Street. I don't have any history at 500 North Main Street. I don't remember that. You know, but we're trying to do what we think's best for the town too, just like y'all think the people that clap the loudest here. But when I roamed the town of Somerville, 53,000 people, and that's include children, everybody, but I'm talking about the adults. When I talk to them, when they call me, the number of people that I've had call me about this county service building, I don't even like to call it the hospital. It ain't been a hospital since God knows when, the early 70s. But that property, the people that have called me said, Ricky, do you really care whether they tear that building down? And I say, no. And Hayward Hudson got so mad with me over that, he was ready to disown me. Probably still is. but he can if he wants to. But you know, when you ride by that place, and let me tell you what I did the other day. I told Terry, I went up there and parked in James Chellis's office, which is not his office anymore. And I walked over to the memorial. And my daddy's name's on that memorial. He's a World War II veteran. And he's on that memorial. That memorial is so little that people riding on Main Street don't even know that memorial is there. It's sad. It's sad. We, my generation, and the generations like Hayward, who served his country for 30 years, and I call him General Hudson, but he didn't quite make general. He had to inform me of that. I'm so proud of him for what he did for our country, but we need a way more decent memorial than what we got up there. Because if you ride by there, you don't even know that's a memorial. I walked up to it again and again, which I've done it many a time. But I walked up there and everybody's all bent out of shape about that memorial. That memorial could be 100 times greater than what it is. Seriously. I mean, all you people are sitting out there clapping. Go up there and look at it. I mean, what you've done is you get yourself emotionally involved in something that you're not really thinking. And do what I did. Go up there and look at it. The old hospital and Dickie Myler, who I love. You're not looking at the whole place. Now, I didn't like the rendition of what the county wants to do at that place. When I saw that in the newspaper, I don't like that at all. But I don't have anything to do with that at all either. You know, but I hope they do something way better than that. Or if the board BAR lets them tear it down, they might not. But you know what's happened is everybody's gotten emotionally involved, and everybody's looking at us to be the bad guy. And we're not. We can't say you can't tear it down. We can't say that. Fleming said we passing the buck to the BAR. We're not passing the buck. We're going by the law. We can't say you can't tear it down. That's not even legal. Fleming, you don't know the law. And you will go run for mayor. You need to study the law. I've been here for a long, long time, people, and I love this town and I want what's right for it. But I'm telling you, I love this town as much as all y'all do. Every one of you. But I want what's best for it. And I don't know that what we got sitting up there at 500 North Street is what's best for it. But I know this, taking it out of the TIF district, because I've studied it, I'm educated on it. I've worked with the county. I hadn't fought them like Bill wants to do. And what he says is all not true. We want to build a relationship with Dorchester County because our tax dollars go to Dorchester County, just like everybody that lives in Dorchester County's taxes go to. I want to work with Dorchester County and they want to work with us. And I can tell you something, people, until we start doing that, we never go anywhere. We're going to die right here on the vine. But we got to do that. And that's all we're trying to do. So I hope we vote to take it out of the TIF and we start this relationship with them that we can all work together and come together to make Dorchester County and Somerville a better place to be. And in the end, if we lose the hospital, the old hospital, the county service building, so what? It's a building. I mean, we lost the Teapot right next door, my granddaddy's grocery store, which was the old town hall. A state fire marshal made us tear that down. It was a beautiful building. You all seen pictures of it. We lost it. We hadn't missed it. You know, I'm just saying, when I sit here and listen to what I've heard tonight, you know, it just aggravates me because I've been here all my life and I'm 75 years old. and I've given my heart to this town, and I just ask you to please give us a chance. Please trust us. Please trust this council sitting up here tonight and trust us to do the right thing. What we think the right thing is, because there's been no secret meetings. There's been no, like, Mr. What's his name sitting out there? Read something in the paper the other day, secret meetings the county's doing and all kind of stuff. There's no secret meetings going on that I know of. We hadn't had any secret meetings, so I don't know if the county's had any secret meetings, but I don't know where the hell he come from. You know, he's been here, he said 15 years, and he's accusing of county council and the town of having secret meetings. We hadn't had any secret meetings that I know of. He had never been in my office to ask me anything. Some of y'all have come to my office. Haywood came to my office, asked me what I thought, and I told him it's the truth. And he got angry with me. Well, you got disappointed. Well, disappointed you got in me. But at least you came to my office. You didn't go talk about me behind my back. Like Mr. What's his name? Huh? Like Mr. Gorman does, and writes letters to the editor about having secret meetings and all that kind of stuff. We don't have any secret meetings. We wide open. I mean, come in here and talk to me. I'm only gonna be here for 3 more months. Come talk to me, Mr. Gorman. I'll tell you what, I'll show you. I'll open my books in my office. I ain't seen you since I got elected. You know, I don't know, Mr. Chennis sitting back there, he'll talk to you. I mean, he talks to me. I mean, I don't know of any secret meetings. Anyway, that's my little bit of discussion. I get disgusted with y'all, I mean, that's all I got to say.
Mayor, may I speak?
Who wants to speak? Yes, sir, Bob.
Only the people that come to town hall and on Facebook have I heard any complaint. Every single person I have talked to would like to see that corner change. And at some point, we have to keep from thinking about the place that our grandfathers lived and start thinking about the place that our grandchildren will live. And if I came to town, I think it was the early 80s, I went to that building to pay taxes. And I was like, this building doesn't work. These offices don't function properly. And I was just an old sailor. So I don't know what to say, but that building is not functional. It is not laid out well. And I think it could be a lot better and give something to the town, even if it only partially pays for a police station, which we desperately need. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I couldn't resist it. I'm sorry. A couple of things. I saw a head shake when the mayor mentioned that most of us were already in favor of this. And I'd like to clarify that is because we've already had a meeting on this. We've already had a vote on this, and the majority of us voted for it. That's how we know that the majority of us are in favor of us or were in favor of us. I don't know what tonight's vote going to do. The two sides that I'm hearing from are total destruction or total saving. And I don't think that's what anybody's talking about. I think people are talking about some type of renovation that I hope will make everybody happy. I know there are a lot of feelings both ways, regardless of whether I have heartfelt emotions about that property or do not. To me, doesn't make a difference. I believe county council is going to get the input that so many of you have asked about that have spoken. And I believe they're going to take that input and they're going to use that input. They're going to make modifications to what's there. And in no way, shape, or form do I believe that they're going to do something to desecrate the Veterans Monument there. And in no way, shape, or form do I think they're going to do anything that tears the whole hospital down. I think they recognize there's a facade, at least a facade in that hotel, then a lot of people's eyes tugs at the heart. So I trust those 7 people to make decisions that are best for us. I think they've heard us. We're making the best financial decision for the town, not the best financial decision for the district. And I think that's what we owe the town of Somerville, not the TIF district. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Yes, ma'am.
so I moved here about 26 years ago. And, when I first went to that building, I walked up the stairs. I thought, this is awesome. You know, I'm not sure how old this building is, but I loved walking up those stairs and just walking in, unfortunately to pay my taxes. So that's the only memory I have, is to pay my taxes there. But I appreciate history. I appreciate architecture. I appreciate when anything that is older than 50 years can be somehow salvaged, or a perfect marriage of something new and old. I did not like the plan that was brought to us from county council. The original plan, I thought, wow, that is way too much going on this parcel of land. And yes, it's going to cause more traffic. Now, of course, you out there, along with some of us, we actually complained, you know, to county council, something needs to be done. And from what I hear, they do have a plan, don't know what it is, that it's going to be slightly smaller maybe than what we were told in the beginning. I'm anxious to hear some type of plan. I've heard different ideas about the memorial out there, maybe actually moving it to a new destination, maybe the new library, or somewhere else that actually you could add on to it, and you could add on, you know, more people buying bricks or whatever to honor the other people here in the town. I think that's a great idea. I'd like to hear more about that. I appreciate you guys coming out and speaking your mind, because things can only be changed by people speaking up. And so I appreciate that. And I encourage you to continue to do that for county council or here. I know that it makes our meetings go a lot longer, but at least your voices are being heard and we are listening to you. Tonight, I am going to vote to take this out of the TIF. And the reason being is the information that's been presented to me on council is this is the best thing for our town and for our citizens. Now, with that being said, I would hope that county council is listening and they are going to change this plan that is going to be, we'll all be happy with, not only you citizens, but for us here on council, and that something can be done, something can be saved of that building. Because I mean, the outside of that building, the main part of it is absolutely beautiful. And there's companies that can do something with that. So I don't believe that it should be completely torn down. I think at least, like you were saying, Mr. Jenkins, a facade of some sort could be a happy marriage with something new. And I hope that nothing happens real soon. I think this is something that really needs to be continued to be discussed. And I think the county, along with town, need to look at this, and that no haste decision in that way. I do understand that once something is brought forward, it goes to the bar, and then they go through their looking at it before it comes to us. But I will say once again, I feel and I would want something left there that's preserved that we can see. I want to be able to walk up those stairs still. Whatever's there. I mean, I want to see those stairs. I want to see those pillars. That's how I feel. But I feel taking it out of the TIF is the best thing for our citizens, the best thing for our town right now.
Let me say a few words, Mr. Mayor. I've been on council a long time, about 21 years. When I first got elected, I was elected to do the very best that I could for the residents of Somerville. And of course, that group has grown to be 53,000 people. So the town has got a lot of financial problems to deal with because of the growth. This situation that we have here, where we are working with the county to get a symbiotic relationship, which will help the town, particularly, well, basically, it will really help us to redo our public service safety department, because right now, the police department and the fire department is in horrible shape. We can't tell the county what to do. And as a member of the town of Somerville Council, I would be very upset if the county told me what to do. Now, what you can do as citizens, I think you can apply pressure to the county, because the county owes you something of historic value from that building. I think we're all familiar with the name of Kitty Springs, who contributed money all over Somerville. She was the female Saul Alexander. She gave a lot to the town of Somerville. And I think she should be recognized and she should be remembered. I think that's the county's job to do that. I think the county has another job to do something for the veterans. Let's create a great, outstanding Veterans Memorial. But the town and the county has to work together. I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship. We have to work with the county and the county has to work with us. We have got the Maple Street extension going, and we never would have gotten this far if it wasn't for the county. So I think as far as making the town and the county adversaries, I think you should recognize that the town and the county have got to work together. And I think there's something historic here that we need to get out of this situation, you know, out of this dark cloud. Maybe there's a silver lining. And I think as residents, if we work in that direction and let the county prosper the best it can, I think down the road, we'll see the benefit. And we appreciate all of your comments, but we are limited as to what we can do.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other discussion? Okay, this time I'll call for the question. All in favor, signify by raising your hand.
Yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second. It's to amend the business license of Somerville to update the schedule as required by Act 176 of 2020.
Make a motion, we have second and final reading.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Aye. Yay.
You on the ball, Bob?
Hey, I don't want to be behind again.
Yeah, I know it. I'm sorry. Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second and final reading of an ordinance correcting the business license ordinance of the town of Somerville, chapter 8, article 2, appendix A, class 8, rates 8.1, so that for each additional $1,000, there will be a charge of $1.90 versus amount of 75 cents.
Make a motion that we give second and final reading to item C, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising, any discussion? Yeah, no discussion. Okay, all in favor, signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carry. D.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to grant to Dominion Energy construction and maintenance of overhead and underground.
I'll make a motion, we do give second and final reading to this.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to grant and underground electric lines and related equipment section of West Fifth North Street, US Highway 78, and North Maple Street, which is owned by the town of Somerville.
Motion,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried. F,
Second and final reading of an ordinance to annex TMS numbers 14503, 01005, 006, and 009, located at 207 and 209 Garvin Drive and totaling approximately 3.2 acres, currently zoned
Chair's got some.
R1, MA, R1, and TRM respectively in Dorchester County, and will be zoned GR5 General Residential upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. And this would be in Council District 3.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to defer,
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
and I'll explain why with the second now that we can discuss. I've heard a lot of feedback on this property and annexation. I think there's a lot of misinformation that may be communicated to a lot of folks in looking at the zoning districts. But one of the things that is a concern is the safety of the intersection of Garbon and Gehagen. And I'd like for staff to engage DOT and see if there's a way we can get that signalized. And then also, I'd like to have someone from staff have a discussion with the applicant in regards to the reduced zoning that was proposed this evening to see if that's something that they are interested in. I do know if they stay in the county, they could have a lot of options, including a mobile home park in that area. So with maybe some higher density. And I just want to make sure that this area is consistent for the neighborhoods.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. We just defer this to back to the planning committee and letting them study this. Okay.
Mayor, I need to recuse myself because I have interest in an adjacent property.
Okay, anybody got a problem with Bob recusing himself? Okay. All right, any more discussion on this? If not, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS number 13010000033, located at 823 West Fifth North Street, totaling approximately 1.69 acres and owned by Dorchester County from UCMX Urban Corridor Mixed Use to PL Public Lands, and it's in Council District 1.
Motion,
Make a motion for second and final reading.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Raise your
Aye.
hand. Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS number 13010000051, located at 603 North Maple Street, totaling approximately 0.77 acres and owned by Lawrence and Melissa Lopez Gibson from NR Neighborhood Residential to NB Neighborhood Business, and this is also in Council District 1.
Motion,
Make a motion, we give second and final reading.
I'll second that.
okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, any discussion? Not all in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Okay, Ms. Beth.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 7, Parking and Driveways, Section 7.3, Vehicle Parking Location.
Motion to give second and final reading.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 10, Signs, Section 10.2.1 applicability, section 10.4.3 building signs requiring a permit, section 10.5 changeable copy signs, section 10.8.1 incidental signs, and section 10.9 prohibited signs.
Make a motion, we give second and final reading.
Here, second.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 13, Administration and Procedures, Section 13.3.3 Board of Zoning Appeals, and Section 13.4.2 Public Notice Requirements.
Make a motion, we give second and final reading.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? There, I'd just like to say this, old times on the road, we voted to make a change with UDO. I think we're overusing the UDO as far as ending it. I think it's in the near future, we need to take a serious look at the UDO and try to make it an instrument that we can use on a consistent basis without some amendments. I'm having a problem with my mic, so, but I think you should be able to hear me now. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I just want to make that point. You don't have a problem. You don't have a problem with this going on through? No, go ahead. Okay. Okay, so we got a motion and a second on that. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor of this, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes carry.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend the Somerville Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 15 Definitions, Section 15.3 Definition of Terms.
Make a motion, we give second and final reading.
Second.
Motion made and second.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could just make a quick comment here, I'd like to compliment staff as they continue to work through the UDO and finding things that need to be changed to be more compatible with what we would like to see it. I think they have, it's a big document. It's a complicated document. There's been a lot of work to make it better, and the fact that they're continuing to do so is something that ought to be recognized.
Thank you, sir. Be with you. Okay, any more discussion on this? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carry. Introduction of bills and resolutions. Miscellaneous.
Consideration of adding a crosswalk on West Carolina Avenue at Laurel Street.
Okay, Russ, you mind explaining that to us?
No, sir, not at all. You, myself, and Mr. Touchberry met there earlier today and just looked at the situation, discussed it. I think we came to a consensus that we would remove the three-way stop at Buford Street and convert the Laurel Street intersection with West Carolina as a three-way stop, which will allow us to put a soft crosswalk across West Carolina in a much safer manner than a non-protected crosswalk. So that's kind of what we decided today and up for discussion with council tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to thank Mr. Cornett. Your comments at our committee meetings led to the idea of shifting the sidewalk down from one of our citizens. And she presented that, and I think that's a great solution for us. And I'd like to move forward with that for sure.
Which was my idea.
Oh, there you go. Well, congratulations.
Is there any other comments from Russ on that? Everybody understand what we're talking about doing?
Yeah.
We will do away with the stop sign down at Human Street. So it'll be moved up to Laurel Street. That'll be the three-way stop sign. So I think that'll work a lot better for us. Thank you, Russ. Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to do that?
I think Mr. Touchberry did, and I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. The ayes carry.
Resolution to open filing for the November seventh, 2023 election from September 25th, 2023 to September 29th, 2023 to fill the current vacancy for Council District 4.
I'll make a motion. We approve that.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any discussion?
Yes, could we explain exactly? I'm, what this is. I'm thinking this is that we fill this slot just for a month,
2.
2 months from election day, starting the next day until, okay.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
Authorization for staff to proceed with the design as presented of the splash pad at Doty Park with a recommendation from the Parks and Rec Committee.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this authorization. Item C.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
Authorization for police chief to enter into memorandum of understanding with Dorchester Children's Advocacy Center for inclusion in the multidisciplinary team.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chief to enter a MOU with Dorchester Children's Advocacy Center.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. No opposed. Motion carried.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Hale Development LLC in the amount of $142,979 for repairs to the Gahagan Park retaining walls. Sealed bids were collected. Funds to come from budgeted accommodations tax fund balance. Request from Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion to authorize this purchase.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Motion made second. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to ask the question, where are these retaining walls at exactly? Oh, okay. So what kind of repairs? I mean. Ah. When was that built? Uh-huh. Oh. Okay. It's been a while. Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
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 Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
Authorize the town administrator to execute the second amendment to the Maple Street intergovernmental agreement with Dorchester County.
I'll make a motion. We second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising the right hand, vote aye.
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 Motion carried.
Authorize the town administrator to execute an intergovernmental agreement containing terms and conditions for consenting to the inclusion of 500 North Main Street into a multi-county industrial park.
I'll make a motion. We approve it.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
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 Opposed likewise, motion carried.
Resolution consenting to the inclusion of 500 North Main Street in a multi-county industrial park, subject to certain conditions.
Make a motion, we approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion carried.
Discussion of town's debris management site on Stokes Bridge Road owned by Somerville Commissioners of Public Works.
Mr. Mayor, you and I have a meeting tomorrow with representatives of Somerville CPW, so I'm asking if we can defer this until after we have that meeting.
Got a motion on that?
Motion to defer.
Second.
Okay. And we will let you know where we are after we talk with Mr. Taylor tomorrow. Okay, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Negative. Ayes carried.
Discuss affordable housing impact fee exemption of 38 units of the 48 unit complex known as Limehouse Landing off of Ladson Road by providing that the developer's proportionate share of system improvements be absorbed by the town as an alternate source of funding.
Mr. Mayor, it is my understanding that we've never done this before. I think there's one exception for Habitat for Humanity. That I don't know how long ago that was done, but it may have been done before my first time on council, which is 30 years ago. We've never exempted builders from fees, and I don't think this is the place we need to be starting.
I'll make a motion. We don't approve.
I will second that.
I agree.
Okay, all right, wait a minute now. We got a motion on the floor and a second. Now any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I do want to say one thing, just because we've talked about it a lot, that housing affordability and housing attainability is extremely important. But working with our regional partners and having a comprehensive plan towards that is very important. We don't need to handpick folks who get exempt from these fees, in my opinion.
I concur.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all in favor of this, signify by raising right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carried.
For public comment, I just have one, Jennifer Trudeau.
Good evening. It is lovely to see your faces. Thank you for hearing my one comment. I'm here representing a group of people in the Low Country area. We are called Unmask the Low Country, and we believe that mask use should be a choice. People around the country are going back to mask use with mandates and pressure for people to use them. Our governor has made a statement about mask mandates that he is not in favor of that for our state. But we remember last time when this happened and he left that up to the towns and the individual cities to make their own choices. And they really made it hard on us with the pressure and the mandates. It was really hard on our children as well. In the last 3 years, many studies have been brought to public attention on how basic cloth and surgical mask use are not effective to prevent any viral spread anyway. I want to thank you for being among the people to not be pressuring to use masks at this point in time. Many of us will not be compliant with any mandates or any pressure to use them in the future anyway. I also want to raise issue for the safety with facial recognition, especially in government buildings and hospitals. It's also really unfortunate to pressure lower wage workers who are working food and beverage to be wearing them for the comfort of other people. It's also not okay for our children to wear them. And I did bring my children tonight to hear me speak. We are homeschoolers. It's important for them to be active in their city council and to see me speak on this tonight. I really want to just take the time to say thank you for not being among the freak out going on around the country. I know that you currently don't have anything on the agenda, and I just want to say, please don't put anything on the agenda. A lot of people will not be wearing them if you decide to in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I do actually have one more for public comment, and that's Dickie Myler.
Mayor, just a quick little comment right here. The other day, it was Tuesday night, I was here for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And there was a big brouhaha about a parcel of land in Brownsville that all the residents did not want to see developed what we call in huge density. We talked, we had about 35 people from the Brownsville community. We all spoke, as did our Councilman Aaron Brown. And the committee voted 3-2 not to listen to the constituents. I have seen something tonight, sir, out of you that makes me proud because it's passion. And everybody here has passion about that what we love. Your family, your town, and I love this town as much as you do. And that hospital, the building, what it means, it represents the heartbeat of something that all of us can identify. All of us always wanted to do something there that made sense. We just wanted the town to keep it in their ball game so we could make the decision. I have no problem with county council. I know many of them, one of my best friends. But I just like to control things where we can make the right decision. And for us not to be passionate, to not to care, to not to speak our piece, well, shame on us. But anyway, I want you to know that this is not personal. This is passionate. And there's a big difference. God bless.
I know that, Dickie. I do that. I just got to speak my piece too, you know.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I have no items for executive session.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in